Inga's statement that, although she loves him, she is simply not in love with him, did not come as a surprise to Dr. Claude Everneck. They had not been intimate for several weeks. The engineer looked at his wife, still beautiful after 24 years of marriage, and nodded his head in agreement. Having met a beauty of German origin in Cologne, he immediately fell in love with her. And she fell in love with a student. It was romance, a marriage to be envied. Their love would last forever, they assured each other, despite the fact that time and geography had changed. However, Inga's next statement surprised the stoic engineer. She said that she was moving in with her lover. What? And his German accent became more noticeable. Do you have a lover? She grinned contemptuously. After a moment, he simply shrugged. Yeah, Jérôme. He doesn't like children, said Inga. That is, you want to say that you are leaving Charles here? With me? Claude asked, referring to their 4-year-old son. When Inga discovered that she was pregnant, the pregnancy came as a complete surprise to her. Their youngest child was already 15 years old, which required more time and more money from them. Claude was delighted, seeing in the new child another confirmation of their endless love, their romantic feelings for each other. Inga's statement that she doesn't love him, that she has a lover, and that she is leaving Charles with him, shocked Claude. The man shook his head in surprise. In less than 1 minute, in 60 seconds, his whole life changed. Yeah, maybe at least now you'll become a father, huh? Inga snapped. The beautiful Aryan features of her face changed from a contemptuous grin to amusement. I am the father. He comes to work with me every day. Yeah, Claude snapped. Since Claude Jr. and Heather were 21 and 20 and attending university in Hamburg, custody of their eldest 2 children was not an issue. But the rambunctious 4-year-old boy needed both a mother and a father, 2 pairs of hands. With a final nod of farewell, Inga took her 5 suitcases, packed them into her Mercedes-Benz, and left their house. Claude turned on his engineering mind and immediately checked the bank accounts. Inga had already withdrawn 50%, so he closed the accounts and transferred the money to a new account. Then canceled 3 of their credit cards. The next step was to reprogram the garage door code and alarm system access code. Then he and Charles went to Home Depot in Algie, Louisiana, to buy new locks for all the doors. Charles loved Home Depot. He and his father often bought either a new magnet or steel screws, nuts and bolts for the magnet. This time Claude bought a large bolt, a large 9-volt battery, and a spool of wire. Arriving home, father and son sat down at a workbench in the 4-car garage of their Baylor Lake home, and Claude showed his son how to make an electromagnet. Ha, 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 ha. How do you like that, Charles? Claude laughed, looking at how Charles was surprised at their invention. He can even lift a wrench. Charles gasped from the force of the magnet. After dinner, after swimming and reading a fairy tale, Charles went to bed. Claude looked at his baby and sighed. How can a good mother abandon her child? He asked himself. He then changed all the locks in the house. If Inga wants to return for forgotten things, she will have to turn to him. And Jérôme? I hope you have a lot of money. She spends it quickly, Claude said and poured himself a whiskey and soda. Jérôme didn't have a lot of money, and he decided that a 42-year-old woman with expensive taste and no income to support her expensive taste was not something he wanted to burden himself with. Being the part-time lover of a beautiful white woman is fun and exciting. He didn't have to keep the house clean, didn't have to listen to her shrill complaints, didn't have to push her drying bras and tights aside when he wanted to take a shower. There was no need to lower the toilet seat when he was a part-time lover. All he had to do was have sex, help her spend her husband's money, and then return to his apartment while she cleaned herself up for her man. This became especially true when Claude contacted Inga and said that he was canceling her cell phone service and car insurance, as well as payments on a luxury car. Jérôme made it clear to Inga that although she had fun with her, it was time for her to leave. Now Inga was struggling with divorce. Nicole Banks, her lawyer, requested consultation. The time for consultation was before she decided to have an affair, said Penny Jones, Dr. Iverneck's lawyer. But Judge Marie Robichaud ruled there must be at least 8 sessions. Claude shrugged his shoulders in agreement. The consultation did not produce any results. Claude did not want to reconcile, and Inga was too proud to admit her mistake. Dr. Sylvia Hooperstein was forced to admit that there was no way forward for this couple. Nicole then filed a petition for Ingrid to receive custody of Charles Jonathan Iverneck. But since Inga voluntarily abandoned the child, Charles stayed with his father while the parents fought in court for custody. Inga demanded full custody as well as exorbitant alimony in the marital home, the child's main place of residence. Inga did not agree to joint custody if Claude remained the main guardian. Therefore, we had to resort to help in resolving disputes. Claude didn't smirk when he won primary custody. He didn't gloat when Inga didn't receive alimony. He did not gloat when he was allowed to stay in the marital home, since it would remain Charles's main place of residence until the child reached adulthood. "You can forget about it," Nicole snapped when Inga mentioned alimony. "You left your marital home of your own free will and moved in with your lover. The courts don't encourage infidelity, Ms. Iverneck. The maximum you will receive is 50% of the assets accumulated during the marriage." Then Nicole started talking about several $1,000s that Inga owed for legal representation. Inga asked why she should pay them, because Nicole could not achieve what she wanted. Shortly after his divorce was finalized, Claude was called into Tough Richard's office. On the desk of the young CEO of Kendrick's Engineering lay the Whitehead generator circuit diagrams. She and Claude looked at the diagram together. "It could be smaller," Taft said decisively. "Ever since Marcus died last year, they haven't gotten a patent on it. They have done nothing but churn out the same old stuff." "I'll call you back," Claude promised. "I want this thing to be smaller and more efficient," Taft ordered. At home, Claude and his son played with Charles's toys, his trucks, and bulldozers. Then Charles wanted to play with an electromagnet. We use a magnetic field," Claude suggested out loud. "And there are also positive and negative poles," Charles reminded his father. "Yes, you are a genius, boy. You are a prodigy," Claude laughed, kissing his son. That night, as Charles lay in his bed and dreamed of trucks, cranes, bulldozers, and magnets, Claude scribbled feverishly. At 7:30 in the morning, the housekeeper Corliss came in and found the man still writing something. "Damn it," Claude laughed. "Miss Corliss, I'll give you $100 if you cook Charles breakfast, okay?" "Is porridge okay?" asked Corliss. "Porridge will be fine," Claude agreed. Tough looked at Claude's rough sketches and Whitehead's generator circuits. "Did you even look at it?" he asked, pointing to Whitehead's diagrams. No, this is a different type of generator," Claude said. "I would say so," Taft agreed. Claude blinked as Taft gave him a $100,000 bonus for developing the Charles CI generator. Claude was also very pleased that Taft Richards named the new generator after Claude's favorite son. While Dr. Claude Iverneck sat in his office at Kendrick's Engineering in Degard, Louisiana, trying to decide what to do with his $100,000 bonus, sitting on a sandy patch of land known as the Bend, was Sue Lynn. It was just a bend in a small stream that ran along the town of Stepping Stone, Louisiana. The small settlement consisted mostly of trailers. The only permanent establishments were a grocery store, a liquor store, and the Stepping Stone Dairy Queen. Even John F. Kennedy High School has 8 mobile buildings arranged in 2 rows of 4 each. The 2 main sources of employment in Penny Parish were the Sweet Bubblegum Paper Mill and Hearst Women's Prison, and neither of them were currently hiring. The 18-year-old girl brushed back her ankle-length blonde hair and sighed. There is nowhere to go. Nothing to do. She had barely graduated from Kennedy School and was now sitting wondering what to do. Her friend Nicholas was at work, working on the loading dock at the Sweet Bubblegum Paper Mill. Nicholas's girlfriend, Angela, was sitting at home waiting for their baby to be born. Joanna was now married to another woman. They lived in Baylor Lake, Louisiana. Bobby is still in jail awaiting trial. There are not many cases, but there is no public defender. Eric enlisted in the Marines. From what Sue Lynn heard, he's stationed in Japan. Her best friend April decided there was nothing in Stepping Stone and hitched a ride with a trucker to Jackson, Mississippi. Sue Lin didn't even know if April stayed in Jackson or went somewhere else. Sue Lin watched a small branch float down the nearly dry creek. It hasn't rained for weeks. If the drought continues, the stream will dry up. The branch went around a bend, caught on some stones, and swayed for a while. Then she freed herself and swam further towards a larger stream. This stream will flow southeast until it joins the Mississippi River. On the one hand, Sue Lin is glad she quit smoking. The taste is disgusting, the smell is even worse, and it's damn expensive. $6.50 for a pack of Salem Kings is an awful lot. On the other hand, she lacks something to occupy her hands and thoughts. Sighing, she rose to her feet and brushed the sand off her shorts. With another sigh, she turned and walked home. "Your April called here. You said she left," the mother grumbled as Sue Lin entered the trailer. "Yes, to Jackson, I think," Sue Lin agreed. "Did you find out her number?" "She said she'd call me back," answered the mother, already once again engrossed in her television show. Sue Lin sighed. Knowing April, this could mean she would call back in 5 minutes or in 5 days. Or if April was drunk when she called, that could mean never. April was sober that day. 20 minutes after Sue Lin walked into the trailer, April called again. "I don't like you talking to that girl," Sue Lin's mother snapped, thrusting the cordless phone into Sue Lin's hands. Sue Lin did not react to her mother's statement. Any answer from her would not be adequate. Her mother has been disappointed with Sue Lin Benning since the moment she was born. Sue Lin's birth was 2 hours and 21 minutes shy of becoming Louisiana's first baby born in the new millennium. But she was again born too early to become the last child born in the old millennium. With her birth, a cycle of disappointment and resentment began, and there seemed to be no way to break this vicious circle. In addition to the disappointing timing of her birth, the fact that Sue Lin was not born a boy was a major disappointment to her father. He already had 7 daughters from 5 different women, and he promised Jacqueline Benning the sun and the moon if she bore him a son. "Girl, how are you?" April drunkenly shouted into the phone. "Hey, where are you?" asked Sue Lin. "Damn Oakleaf, Texas, I told you so," April laughed. "Oak? No, I didn't. Last I heard, you were in Mississippi," Sue Lin said. April described her life in small-town Texas. She dances at the Tijuana Jacks Gentlemen's Club and loves it. She never pays for drinks and usually comes home with $300 to $400 a night. She lives with another dancer in a rented house. "Come here, girl," April enthused. "Damn it. I'm not half as beautiful as you, but what kind of money are they giving me?" Sue Lin wrote down the phone number that appeared on the display and checked it with April. April, frowning, agreed that it might be the same number, but it was her neighbor's phone. Sue Lin waited until her mother went to the bathroom and called Greyhound to find out the cost of a ticket to Oak Cliff, Texas. She thanked the bored woman and hung up just as her mother stumbled back into the room. While Sue Lin was collecting money for a bus ticket, Dr. Claude Everneck checked that the car was in drivable condition. The seller, Jericho Tilley, claimed that it performed as well, if not better, than the day it rolled off the assembly line. He also assured Claude that the car was 100% original. "Believe it or not, it belonged to my older brother, and when he left for Vietnam, he left it for me, saying that he would kill me in 100 different ways if even one scratch appeared on it before next Tuesday," the man claims. "And he didn't want to take it back?" Claude asked. "He lost both legs there," Jericho said quietly. Inga agreed to pick up Charles a day earlier. After all, she loved her baby. Charles was also glad that he could be with his mother. Taft pretended to be upset that Claude was taking a rare day off from work, but agreed that they might be able to continue working without the head of engineering at the helm. While Claude collected the cash, Sue Lin sat on a Greyhound bus heading west. She looked out the window as Stepping Stone, Louisiana, disappeared from view. In Pinoac, Louisiana, the bus stopped for 48 minutes, and Sue Lin bought shrimp paste and soda. She slathered on an obscene amount of Crystal hot sauce and ate her sandwich, humming happily. She ignored the 3 young men vying for her attention, but reflected that perhaps her top and Daisy Duke shorts weren't the best choice for traveling. Her deliberate disdain for young people only seemed to encourage them. One of them separated and approached her as she sat on a bench, chewing food. "So where are you going?" the Latin youth ventured to ask. "To Oakleaf Correctional Facility. My husband is released tomorrow," Su Lin answered calmly. "He was locked up for murder, but the last witness had just died, so there was no one left who could say they saw him do it." She had no idea if there was such a place called Oakleaf Penitentiary, but Su Lin was willing to bet the brash young man didn't know that either. The young man muttered something in Spanish and quickly moved away from Su Lin. She didn't smirk, just finished her sandwich, and went to the toilet. 2 hours later, the bus stopped in front of the De Garde Inn. Su Lin looked around with interest. Her friend Joanna and Joanna's husband Joey were attending the University of Louisiana at De Garde. Through the window, she saw some buildings in the distance and wondered if this was a college. The bus was already crowded when Dr. Claude Everneck entered. He examined the seats as he walked down the aisle and soon saw that they were all occupied. "Sit here," suggested a young, attractive blonde. "Thank you," he said, smiling at the girl. His height was 1.90 meters, so he towered over the girl when he put his small suitcase into the luggage compartment. Having settled into his seat, he clutched his briefcase with a death grip. "You don't know where the university is?" Su Lin asked the tall, handsome man. "Yeah, over there," he replied as the bus started moving. "There?" she asked, pointing at the buildings she had noticed earlier. "Yeah, over there. I work there," Dr. Claude smiled, pointing to the Kendricks Engineering Building. "And there. We are building a new building for the production of a hydraulic pump and possibly a K.I. Charles generator." "Where are you from?" the girl asked, smiling at his strange accent. "When you were a little boy? We lived in Treblinka, Poland. Then my father moved us to West Germany." Claude smiled. He cursed himself for leaving his tablet on his desk. He downloaded a book about perpetual motion and perpetual energy and hoped to study a hypothesis proposed by the author at a symposium in Finland 3 years ago. "So, how long have you been in America?" asked Su Lin. "I moved here 2 years after graduating from the University of Hamburg, so it's already 23 years, Claude admitted. "And I've lived in Louisiana all my life," admitted Su Lin. When they reached Houston, Texas, Su Lin was already tired from the road. She walked wearily to where the bus to Oakleaf was supposed to depart. The Greyhound employee told Su Lin that the bus was still 93 minutes away. "I haven't even arrived yet. I'm coming from Shreveport." The man smiled. "Where is your suitcase?" "I don't have one," Su Lin answered. "Where are your clothes? Cosmetics?" Claude asked. "The cosmetics are here," Su Lin said, showing him a small purse. At the large terminal, Claude bought Su Lin a sandwich and juice. They then sat on a bench opposite where their bus would be parked and ate. When the bus arrived, Su Lin was already dozing, leaning against Dr. Claude Everneck. The driver smiled as the tall man woke up his companion. "My daughter seems exhausted, right?" the man asked. "It's a long trip," Claude replied without correcting him. Even though there were many empty seats on the bus, Claude and Su Lin sat together. "So what happens when we get to Oakleaf?" he asked her and looked at his watch. "When we arrive, it will be 11, maybe later." "Don't know. I'll just call April and see how she's doing." Su Lin shrugged. "What if you can't contact her?" Claude asked insistently. "I'll hang out," Su Lin shrugged. As the bus rumbled toward Oak Cliff, Texas, Su Lin fell asleep. She leaned against Claude and snored softly. Nor did she wake up when the bus stopped noisily in Great Oak or Sweet Oak. Claude gently woke her when the driver announced that the next stop was Oakleaf. "Here's my cell phone," Claude said. "Thank you," said Su Lin. She dialed the number. The phone buzzed 4 times. Then April's neighbor's answering machine answered. "Damn," Su Lin said. "Come on, I have a place here," Claude ordered. Su Lin followed obediently. The man registered and took the electronic key from the bored woman. "I thought you said you'd be alone," the clerk clarified. "I changed my mind," Claude replied. "God, I stink," Su Lin muttered as she and Claude walked toward room 133. "It's okay. I'm paying for the shower," Claude teased. "Oh, okay," she smiled. Before Claude could insist that he needed to pee first, Su Lin found herself in a small, clean bathroom. She turned off the taps and climbed into the deep bathtub. When Claude heard the shower stop working, he waited a few moments. "Are you planning to sleep there?" Claude asked through the heavy door. "My clothes," Su Lin answered, drying her hair with a towel. "The one that stank from the road?" Claude asked. He took his t-shirt out of his suitcase. "Here, put this on," he insisted, pushing the t-shirt through the slightly open door. "Cool, thanks," Su Lin said, grabbing the t-shirt. Hearing the cheap motel hairdryer start working, Claude knocked on the bathroom door again. "Su Lin, my back teeth are falling out. I see yellow," he demanded. "About! I am so sorry," Su Lin said and opened the door. She walked out wearing his t-shirt. It went down to just above the knees. The neckline exposed the girl's heavy breasts to the largest areolas. Armholes would be exposed about most of the chest on the sides. Claude didn't see any of this. He was already tormented by the need to urinate. He brushed past her and sighed with relief, emptying his bladder. He then came out of the bathroom and found his pajamas in his small suitcase. "By the way, you won't get that back," Su Lin teased, pointing to the t-shirt. "About? I'll tickle you," Claude threatened, smiling. He quickly showered and put on his pajamas. Then he brushed his teeth and wondered if Inga would remember to make Charles brush his teeth with dental floss. The boy did not like to use dental floss and was naughty all the time, but their dentist said they needed to get him into healthy oral habits as soon as possible. "What?" Claude asked as he entered the main room. "What are you watching?" "Heard that girl say they have movies," said Su Lin, sitting on the bed and watching a pornographic film. "But this is obscene," muttered Claude. "Give me the remote," Claude demanded. Su Lin put the remote control behind her back and grinned at his confusion. She slammed her hand down on the bed next to her. "Come on, watch it with me," she demanded. "My God! This must be painful, right?" Su Lin asked, watching the brutal sodomy. "Su Lin, please change it, please," Claude begged. So far, he has behaved like a true gentleman. The outfit of the young 18-year-old girl was too revealing. He would never allow his daughter, Heather, to wear such outfits. She touched him, his arm, his leg, when they were riding on the bus, when they were talking. She leaned against him as she dozed, but he did not give in to temptation. He missed Inga, missed his closeness with her. "Let's see," muttered Su Lin, and the menu appeared on the screen again. She pressed Enter, and an image of a blonde woman pleasuring a man appeared on the screen. Then Su Lin pressed herself tightly against Claude, pressing her breasts into his side, into his left arm. The neckline of the t-shirt opened up even more, and one breast completely fell out. Claude turned his head, protesting that she was pressed against him, protesting the dirty movie they are watching. As he turned his head, Su Lin's small hand touched the cheek of his handsome face, and she leaned towards him. "Thank you, Claude," she whispered and pressed her lips to his. "Saved." "Thank you for what?" Claude asked when she released his lips. "For letting me stay here with you, for giving me your t-shirt," Su Lin whispered into his chest. "You're welcome," he muttered. Su Lin's hand reached down and stroked Claude's throbbing manhood through his pajama pants. "Su Lin, don't. You shouldn't," Claude muttered. "Damn, you're big," Su Lin said. She raised her head and kissed him again, this time tickling his lips with my tongue. Claude stopped resisting. He put aside all doubts about being in a motel room with a girl younger than his daughter. She giggled and then moaned happily as he wrapped his left arm around her shoulders. His right hand reached down to her heavy breasts. "Yes," she encouraged, kissing him. You're not a virgin, huh?" Claude asked. "Well, yes. Do you know what they call virgins in Stepping Stone? We don't. We've never seen anything like this," said Su Lin, untangling herself from her t-shirt. She then pulled down his pajama pants. Claude Iverneck was a large man, and his manhood was in proportion to it. "I like it," said Su Lin, and began to excite him. "Yeah, I like it too," Claude moaned. They gave each other affection while having sex. "Oomph!" she shouted when she reached the finish line. "Oomph!" she screamed even louder as Claude followed her. "Damn, that was great," Su Lin said almost dreamily. "Yeah," Claude said breathlessly. Su Lin turned and kissed Claude. He lay there and mentally compared his sex life with his ex-wife and what he had only experienced. What? The comparison was not in Inga's favor. They rested and continued to admire each other's bodies without abandoning their caresses, and soon they were ready again. The first round was followed by the second. It didn't take long for Su Lin to reach her climax, and then another. He also has reached peaks of bliss. Then they dozed off. "Well, what time will you go to your friend?" Claude asked. "Eh?" Su Lin asked, coming to her senses. Sunlight streamed into the motel room through a gap in the curtain. Claude was already dressed. Su Lin looked around, still not coming to her senses. "To your friend, what time is it? Maybe you should call her?" Claude asked. "Oh, yeah. Okay," Su Lin said, her eyes filling with tears. "Just let me go potty and—" "What?" Claude asked. She crawled off the bed, still naked. She walked past, trying to push the tears back into her eyes. "What, Su Lin? What happened?" Claude asked quietly, taking her small hand. "Nothing," she answered irritably. No, what's the matter?" he demanded. "Let me go. I need to go to the toilet, okay?" Su Lin spat. He let her go and she stomped into the small bathroom. In the bathroom, having finished her business, she grabbed her tank top and shorts from the floor. I put them on and walked around looking for slippers. "Well, what's there, huh?" Claude demanded, grabbing her small hand again. It's okay, Su Lin snapped. No, what's the matter?" he demanded and sat down on the bed. "Nothing, okay? Let me go," she demanded. "No, what, my little Su Lin?" Claude asked softly, pulling the struggling girl onto his lap. "You fucked me. Well, that is, damn it. I thought it meant something, you know?" Su Lin suddenly howled. "Yes, it was amazing," Claude admitted. "I mean, it was wonderful, so wonderful." He gently stroked her tear-stained face. Then he kissed her trembling lips. "Then why are you in such a hurry to get rid of me?" She sobbed, wrapping her arms around him and pressing her head against his chest. "Su Lin, honey, it's not like that," Claude assured her, gently stroking her back and stroking her arm. "But you came here to see your friend, right?" "Well, yes, but that was before," said Su Lin. "Earlier?" Claude asked. "Before we slept," Su Lin clarified. "And now that we've slept together?" Claude asked. I mean, hell, I don't know," Su Lin admitted. "I'm going to buy a car. Will you come with me?" Claude asked. "Okay," agreed Su Lin. She managed to grab the t-shirt from where it lay on the floor and put it in her purse. I found my slippers and was ready to go. "Crap. My Inga. She'll probably be here for a long time," said Claude. Su Lin's eyes went wide. She looked at Claude for a long time. "Your Inga? You are married?" She gasped in horror. "Eh? Oh, no, my Su Lin," Claude assured her. No, we're getting a divorce. Yeah, we're getting a divorce now, maybe in 3 or 4 months." Su Lin looked at his ring finger. She squinted in the dimly lit room, but couldn't see any untanned line. Satisfied, she took his hand. Claude made a final visual inspection of the room, picked up his small suitcase and briefcase, and they left. "Thank you, everything is okay?" the employee asked when Claude handed over the room key. "Yes, everything is fine," Claude agreed. "So, where can I have breakfast here?" "The Oak Leaf Diner is across the street," Su Lin said, looking through the glass doors at the truck stop. "Great," said Claude. "So, where is 1217 Biggs Street?" "Will you cross the street? 2 blocks left, then right, and about 3 blocks straight, sweetie," the woman said, pointing. "Give me the suitcase," Su Lin demanded as they left the motel. "I'll carry it." "Okay," Claude said. At the diner, Claude called Jericho Tilly, and told him that they were having breakfast and would arrive there afterwards. "Just knock on the side door," he said. Su Lin ordered steak and eggs and amused Claude by eating the entire breakfast and even stealing a biscuit from his plate. Then she went to the toilet. When she returned, Claude saw Su Lin trying to intercept a heavy trucker. Inga would linger, flirt a little, and at the same time keep an eye on Claude to see if she upset him. If Claude was upset by this, Inga intensified her flirting. She often plays games like this, Claude thought. Su Lin didn't even pause. The trucker extended his hand to stop her forward progress, but Su Lin simply ducked under his outstretched arm, continuing to walk. There were a few chuckles. The trucker turned and glared at Su Lin. When the girl sat down at the table, the trucker fixed his angry gaze on Claude. "Come on, Jimbo, just leave it. The girl doesn't want to talk to you," the waitress ordered the upset man. "Damn, bitch," Jimbo growled and walked away. "Well, are you ready?" Su Lin asked, draining her cup of coffee. "Yeah," Claude agreed. They walked along a busy street, then turned and walked down a branch street. Claude couldn't help but think that city blocks in Texas were much longer than those in Louisiana. "Here we are," Claude said, checking the number on the mailbox. "Good. Otherwise your legs will fall off soon," Su Lin giggled. "How far do you think we've come?" "Yes, these slippers are not very suitable for walking," Claude agreed. Jericho Tilly led the couple into the garage located at the rear of the property. Claude grinned. Jericho was talking to him, but he couldn't take his eyes off Su Lin. "Ooh!" Su Lin gasped as the man removed the tarp from the car. The car was white with a red vinyl top and red vinyl seats. "Damn, it's so long. The hood alone is probably a mile long, right?" Su Lin said, looking at the 1964 Chevrolet Corvette. "When I came to America, my neighbor had exactly the same one," Claude said, admiring the car. "I said to myself, I'll buy myself the same one." "Well, Claude, this Corvette can be yours if the price is right," Jericho said, imitating the Price is Right game show announcer. "$69,000, right?" Claude asked. "That's right," Jericho said, watching Su Lin lean over and look inside the car. "So, why are you selling it?" Su Lin suddenly asked. Well, the doctor said I have cancer," Jericho admitted. "And I have 2 boys. I'll leave the car to one, the other will be offended. I'll leave it to someone else to do the same. So this way I can just give everyone half the price and let them buy whatever they want." "Sorry, I didn't know about cancer," Su Lin said quietly, placing a comforting hand on Jericho's arm. "Yes, well, it happens, right?" The man smiled. "Can I take you for a test drive?" Claude asked. "Yes, I would even expect that," Jericho agreed. Claude handed his briefcase to Su Lin. He smiled widely as he opened the car door and slid into the low interior. Claude squeezed the steering wheel with his hands several times. Then he started the car. He sat for a long time, listening to the music of the running engine, took the car out of the garage, and drove away. "Would you like some coffee or something else?" Jericho suggested to Su Lin. "Not that hazelnut stuff, huh?" Su Lin asked as she followed Jericho into the house. "Hey, Dad, some guy just drove away in a damn car," said a man in his 30s, but immediately stopped when he saw Su Lin. "My eldest, Elroy Tilly," Jericho said, pointing to the young man now puffing out his bare chest. "Hi," Su Lin said. "And no, ma'am, this is real coffee," Jericho continued, pouring each person a mug of the thick drink. "Oh yes, what about the car?" Elroy asked, looking away from Su Lin. "Her father is going to buy her," Jericho said. "Oh no, he's not my father," Su Lin smiled, blowing on her coffee mug. "He is my man." "Crap," Jericho grinned. "You, that Corvette, and a glass of cold water is all it takes for him to have a heart attack, right?" 10 minutes later, Claude came roaring up to the house. With some reluctance, he got out of the car and knocked on the side door. Su Lin opened the door. "Well, Daddy, did you like it?" she asked. "Yes, I liked it. I liked it very much," Claude agreed and entered the house. At the sight of handsome young Elroy posing and warming up shirtless, his eyes narrowed for a moment. Then he smiled softly. The young man looked almost desperate, but Su Lin paid him no attention. "Briefcase?" Claude asked. Su Lin pulled it out from under the kitchen table and handed it to Claude. Jericho invited Claude to sit down. Su Lin immediately sat down to Claude's right, and immediately, as soon as she sat down, she put her hand on Claude's hand. The young man came out of the kitchen. "Well, everything is in order. All that remains is to sign some papers, and you can go on your way," Jericho said. "Is the money here?" Claude opened the briefcase, and Su Lin's eyes widened at the sight of $69,000 in stacks of $100 bills. Jericho slowly counted everything. "Oh, and the tarpaulin? This case is made to order," Jericho suddenly said. "I was going to sell it on eBay, but your girlfriend convinced me to just leave it with the car. Said he just doesn't know how long he'll have to sell this thing," Su Lin told Claude. "My girlfriend? Oh, she's a sharp little thing," Claude said and continued reading the sales contract. "Oh, thank you," Su Lin said, resting her head on Claude's shoulder. 68 and 69, Jericho counted down. "I'll simply sign this title document, and you, my friend, will become the proud owner of a 1964 Corvette, one of the best cars ever created." "Come on, girlfriend," Claude said, grabbing his empty briefcase and small suitcase. "I'll get the car cover," Su Lin said, throwing open the kitchen door. "Brother, how did you find her? Just wow," Jericho praised as he watched Su Lin trot towards the garage. "Don't even touch it," Claude warned. "Well, yes, no jokes," said Su Lin, starting to roll the cover into a ball. "How did I find her?" Claude asked and shrugged. Su Lin's eyes filled with tears again when Claude suggested she call April. "Su Lin, really? Isn't it stupid to come all this way and not see your friend?" Claude asked as they pulled the car out of Jericho's driveway. "Yes, you're right," agreed Su Lin. "Lord, what? What time is it now?" April's neighbor demanded angrily, picking up the phone. "Is April there?" Su Lin asked, ignoring the woman's outburst. "Damn, bitch, she's sleeping. What do you think?" The girl snapped and hung up. "She's not home," Su Lin said, handing Claude his cell phone. "Let's go." Claude touched her face lightly. Su Lin turned and looked at him, her light brown eyes sparkling. "Fine. Let's go." "Where?" he asked softly. She hung her head. He gently touched her face again, but she waved his hand away. "Probably at Stepping Stone," she muttered. "Do you really want to go to Stepping Stone?" Claude asked. "Hell no," Su Lin managed. "Why do you think I just jumped on the bus?" Claude sat silently for a long time. Then he put the car into gear and began making his way through the streets of Oakleaf, looking for the interstate. When they reached Lake Charles, Louisiana, Su Lin was smiling. Claude removed the roof, and she raised her hands up with pleasure, making them flutter in the wind. "Yeah, the convertible is made for beautiful blondes like you," Claude laughed as he pulled up to the Cracker Barrel chain cafe in Lake Charles. Su Lin amused Claude again by devouring his sunrise sampler breakfast and then finishing his catfish dinner. She also drank 2 orange sodas with cream. "Oh, I need to go to the toilet," she suddenly announced. "Not surprised. If you don't, you'll explode," Claude teased, and she smirked. "Damn, mister, I was really jealous when I saw that car," another man said as Claude and Su Lin approached the Corvette. "But having seen her, now I'm really jealous." Su Lin smiled but said nothing to the man as Claude opened the door for her. As Claude sat in the driver's seat, Su Lin reached over and pulled Claude towards her for a passionate kiss. "Let him be truly jealous," Su Lin whispered, releasing Claude's lips. Claude smiled and started the powerful engine. Then, nodding to the admiring spectators, he left. Su Lin looked at Claude questioningly as Claude turned off the Degard Highway onto I-10. Claude drove through the streets and finally stopped in front of a large house. "What's here?" asked Su Lin. "My home," Claude replied, getting out of the idling car. He entered the code and returned to the car as the garage door rose. He drove the car into the garage and got out again. Then he walked over and opened the door for Su Lin. "Welcome home, my little Su Lin," he said. She took his large hand and followed him to the garage door. He punched in one code, and the top door came down again. Then I typed the code on another keyboard. When the light blinked green, Claude unlocked the door and led Su Lin into the kitchen of his house. Su Lin looked around and even touched some things. She smiled when she saw Charles's baby chair. Then she followed Claude as he walked from the kitchen into the living room. And she looked around again. She looked at the big TV and smiled at Claude. "Do they show films here?" she asked playfully. "Which films?" Claude asked. "Those movies we watched last night," Su Lin giggled. "Do you really need films?" "I have something real," Claude said. "Yes, but they're fun," said Su Lin. "So where is our room? Are you tired?" "Yes, really, I'm tired," Claude admitted. Su Lin took his hand and he led her to his bedroom. She looked at his California king bed and smiled as she took off her slippers. "Crap!" Su Lin giggled. "You can get lost in this bed, right?" "Okay, that's north, that's south, then east and west." Claude pointed to the cardinal directions. "If you get lost, just shout where you are. North, south, east, or west, and I will find you, okay?" "Okay," Su Lin giggled, untangling herself from her shorts and t-shirt. She climbed onto the bed and waited for him. He took off his shoes, then unbuttoned his shirt. "Which side do you sleep on?" asked Su Lin. "Try to guess," Claude said. On the east?" Su Lin suggested. "Yeah, how do you know?" Claude asked. "There's a clock here, there's 2 pillows there, and there's only one on this side," Su Lin explained. "Very good," Claude smiled, pulling off his slacks and panties. "Oh, someone's not tired," Su Lin cooed, seeing the erect manhood. "Oh, but I'm tired. Very tired," Claude teased, climbing onto the bed. "Okay, go to sleep then," Su Lin said, taking his dignity in her small hand. "Oh, yes," Claude whispered. And again they gave each other pleasure. For the first time, she experienced caresses from a man in her intimate area. In response, she caressed and stroked him, squealing in ecstasy. The two of them reached the finish line. "Well, that's enough. I'm really tired," admitted Su Lin, pulling the blanket and sheet over herself. "Me too," Claude agreed. He lay down under the blanket and sheet and laid out the pillows. As he lay down, her small hand reached out and touched his bicep. Then she fell asleep. He didn't know how much time had passed when he was awakened, watched her cute butt as she jumped off the big bed towards the door, and smiled when she sighed happily that she had found the bathroom on her first try. Then she disappeared from sight. A moment later, Claude heard the toilet flush. A few moments later, she appeared again, wiping her hands dry. Her mouth was closed, her cheeks puffed out. Then she swallowed, and her cheeks returned to normal. He lay there as she climbed back onto the bed. Again, her small hand reached out for his, and she closed her eyes again. "You are very beautiful," he whispered. "Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you," Su Lin apologized. "That's good," Claude smiled. She moved closer to him and kissed him. Claude realized that she was rinsing her mouth with mouthwash. "Come on, I'll go brush my teeth," Claude suggested. "I'm not finished yet," Su Lin objected, and continued to kiss him persistently. Her small hand groped his reviving manhood, and the kisses became more and more insistent. "Dude, I love the way you have me," Su Lin admired. "How we make love," Claude corrected gently. "Yeah, how we make love," Su Lin agreed. She smiled at him and then leaned up for a kiss. Her pretty face contorted in ecstasy, and she moaned. Then she kissed him again. "How we make love," she repeated. "I like it. How we make love." Apart from the t-shirt that didn't fit her very well, Claude realized that Su Lin only had one outfit. This outfit was not suitable for many places in Degard and surrounding Louisiana. At 18, she is too young to dine at the dead-end bar, which was ridiculous. After all, at 18, she was already old enough to work there, twirl, dance for money, but not old enough to eat there. At 4 o'clock, Claude woke Sue Lin up, and she smiled. When she reached for his manhood, he gently pushed her hand away. "Get dressed. We need to go somewhere," he ordered. "Eh? Okay." She shrugged. She got dressed, then spent a few minutes combing her tangled blonde hair. Claude was dressed in trousers and a shirt and was already putting on his shoes when she finished her manipulations, tightening the ribbon around her hair, tying it into a long ponytail. I'm crazy, Claude said to himself, watching a very young girl follow him into the garage. He took the remote control out of his truck and attached it to the visor of his classic Corvette. "So, where are we going?" she asked, clinging to him. "At first, we are going to Abdullah." "You need clothes," Claude announced. He expected a squeal, delight. Inga loved to spend money at the Abdullah department store. The price for a pair of jeans usually started at about $120, and then he remembered. Sue Lin had no idea what Abdullah was. Inga's second favorite place was Babbage's, another exclusive department store in the Degard area, but Sue Lin probably hadn't heard of that either. Entering the fashion store, Sue Lin picked up the jeans, held them close to her, and shook her head as she looked around. "Do they have a section for small items?" she asked Claude. "None of this suits me." The saleswoman pointed to the petite section, and Sue Lin nodded with satisfaction, looking back at Claude. "Okay, what are we going to buy?" she asked. "At first, we need something in which we can go and eat. Then maybe something, just to relax, to be at home," he said. "You have your T-shirt," Sue Lin noted. "And I also have a 4-year-old son," Claude said. "About," Sue Lin said understandingly. She chose 2 blouses, 3 pairs of shorts, 2 pairs of blue jeans, a button-down blouse, and several T-shirts. She also picked out 3 dresses and a cute nightgown. I also took several panties and 3 bras. Then Claude pleased her by grabbing 2 packs of tights. He has a small fetish for tights. Knowing this, Inga rarely indulged Claude in this desire, most often preferring to get by with her bare legs. After that, Sue Lin dragged him to the shoe department and took 2 pairs of shoes, a pair of dresses, and a pair of tennis shoes. "Thanks, baby," Sue Lin said simply as they put their shopping in the trunk of the car. "Well, I'm just glad you didn't come across a jewelry counter," Claude said, half-jokingly. "About!" "And where is he?" Sue Lin asked with wide eyes. "Nowhere. It doesn't matter. I was joking. There is no jewelry counter at Abdul," Claude quickly answered. "So, are we going out to eat?" asked Sue Lin. "Yes. Let's go back to the house. Get dressed, and let's go," Claude said. "What?" "Open the trunk again," Sue Lin said. She took a dress, a package of tights, and a bra. Then, to Claude's amazement and erotic delight, she threw her halter top onto the car seat, slipped into her bra, then pulled on her dress. I also threw my shorts on the seat and got into tights. "Take my shoes," she ordered, and got into the car. "Well, okay then, let's go eat," Claude agreed. "Thanks, baby," Sue Lin repeated as Claude got into the car. At the side-by-side steakhouse, we had to wait about 15 minutes. Sue Lin leaned against Claude, swaying slightly in anticipation. Pretty soon, the hostess led them to the table, wished them bon appétit, and left. "Can I order a ribeye?" Sue Lin asked, reading the voluminous menu. "You can order whatever you want," Claude assured her. She had a ribeye, baked potato, and broccoli with cheese. "What is this?" "I didn't order this. Did you order this?" Sue Lin asked, as the waitress placed the endive salad in front of her. "It's included in the dish," Claude explained. "Endive leaf salad." "Leaves of what?" Sue Lin giggled when she heard this strange-sounding word. "Just eat it," Claude growled mockingly. "Oh, Daddy's angry, isn't he?" Sue Lin smiled and actually ate some salad. Sue Lin managed to eat an entire salad, 2 baskets of hand-tossed hot rolls, an entire steak, potatoes, and broccoli. Crap. And where does all this fit into you? Claude asked. The waitress mentioned dessert, but Sue Lin admitted that she struggled with the last 3 or 4 bites. Claude put down his credit card and smiled at his charming companion. Sue Lin, in turn, looked around the luxurious steakhouse, the rich decor, the elegant surroundings. She frowned slightly, then turned and looked at Claude. "Okay, have you known this woman for 4 hours?" Sue Lin asked, discreetly pointing to Claude's right shoulder. Claude turned around and saw a darkly frowning Inga and a bored Jerome. "Yes, my little Sue Lin," he smiled widely. "This is my ex-wife and her boyfriend. He's partial to us blondes, right?" Sue Lin smiled, straightening a strand of her blonde hair. "But where is Charles?" Claude asked unexpectedly for himself. The waitress returned and wished them a good evening. Claude signed the bill, pocketed the check, and helped Sue Lin to her feet. Returning home, Claude carried the bags of clothes into his bedroom and made room for them in the closet. He also emptied the dresser drawer for her, and she smiled as she put her new clothes in there. "Now please do something for me," Claude asked in a hoarse voice. "Whatever," Sue Lin promised. "Take off the dress, but leave the tights on," Claude asked. Sue Lin untangled herself from her dress and bra and hung the dress in the closet. She simply threw the bra over the closet door. Then she turned and walked towards Claude. And again they made love. It seemed they couldn't get enough of each other. More than once they brought each other to the finish line, and more than once they came to it together. On Sunday morning, Sue Lin woke Claude with a series of kisses, starting on his forehead and ending on his manhood. "It's hot to sleep in this, do you hear?" Sue Lin complained, pointing at her tights. "But, my God, they're so sexy," Claude gushed, as she stretched out on her stomach. "Yeah, whatever you say," said Sue Lin. They made love. Afterwards, they lay contentedly in bed. "Do you go to church?" she asked. From time to time," Claude admitted. "Is this one of those from time to time cases?" Sue Lin asked, getting out of bed and heading to the bathroom. "Perhaps," Claude agreed. "Okay, you have a child. This child needs to know about God," Sue Lin said. A minute later, the shower started working. Claude imagined her, in tights, standing under the streams of water, and quickly got out of bed. Inga allowed him to take a shower with her several times. She even claimed that she liked this kind of foreplay. "But she didn't allow me to have sex in the shower. She insisted that it was only in bed." "Have you come to pick me up?" Sue Lin giggled as Claude opened the shower door. And again he got everything he wanted. She said she was a Baptist, but agreed that God could be present in the Lutheran church. Several of Claude's acquaintances even stared at them as he and Sue Lin walked into Atonement Lutheran Church in Kimball, Louisiana. He nodded politely to them and then spoke to Sue Lin in a low voice. Because the Corvette was a 2-seater, Sue Lin did not go with Claude when he picked up Charles at Inga's condominium. Inga put a smile on her face, but her eyes glowed as she talked to Claude. "So, who was that little slut I saw you with on Saturday?" She growled, watching Charles collect his toys from the floor of her living room. "Sue Lin? But she's not a slut," Claude replied. "Yes, and where was Charles while you and the toy boy were in the restaurant?" "His sister was sitting with the child," Inga snapped, ignoring the remark about the toy boy. Walking outside, Inga opened her eyes wide at the sight of a classic car. Then her eyes narrowed into small slits. "Did you have enough money to buy this?" she growled. "My lawyer will be very interested to know about this." "What?" Claude laughed. No, this is Sue Lin's car. Do you see? I'm telling you, she's no slut." Is this her car?" Inga stammered, admiring the long, sleek car. "Cool." Charles was delighted. "Very cool," Claude agreed, and buckled the child into the car seat. Charles and Sue Lin's meeting couldn't have gone better. She smiled, hugged him tightly, and then begged him to show her his room. In his room, Su Lin pretended to have no idea what his dump truck could do, what his crane did, what his excavator was for. "Wow, Daddy, did you know that you have such a smart little boy?" Su Lin praised, carrying Charles into the kitchen for dinner. "Yeah, he's a genius, a prodigy," Claude admired. "But I bet he doesn't eat green beans, does he?" asked Su Lin. "Yeah," said Charles, and ate his green beans. "He can't stand her," Claude admitted to Su Lin. The electromagnet made the proper impression on her, and she ran around the small workshop, looking for objects that the device could pick up. At 8:30, Claude had to threaten them both with punishment before Charles agreed to take a bath. "I love you, Su Lin," Charles said. "About. Well, I love you too, Charlie Ivernek." Su Lin smiled as she and Claude gave the 4-year-old boy a bath. Finally, Charles fell asleep. Su Lin smiled as she entered the bedroom she shared with Claude. "It was so sweet when he said he loved you," Claude commented. "Well, I love him too," said Su Lin. She pulled on her t-shirt to sleep. Then she climbed into bed. "And I love his dad," she said. She laid her head on his chest. "Very," she said. Claude frowned at the top of her blonde head as she pressed herself against him. "They met just over 72 hours ago. Made love for the first time just under 63 hours ago." He ran his fingers through the long strands of her hair, and she sighed happily. At work, Taff Richards admired the long classic car. The CEO then helped his chief engineer put the cover on the car. "You seem pleased with the bonus," Tuff said. "More than you think," Claude replied, smiling as the trio, Tuff, Charles, and Claude, entered Kendrick's Engineering. At 11:49, Denise Lacombe, who worked at the reception desk, called Claude. "Sir, is there some girl here? Claims that she is your friend?" Denise whispered insistently into the headset. "Girlfriend?" Tuff asked, as Denise whispered through the intercom on Claude's desk. "Yes, friend, okay. The car isn't the only thing I got with the bonus, Mr. Curious," Claude jokes. "Oh, I have to see," Taff said, running out of Claude's cramped, cluttered office. "Damn it, Tuff! Ezekiel Richards, don't! Come back here!" Claude shouted, running out of the office. "Hey, baby!" Su Lin smiled as Claude burst into the waiting room. "Is this Miss Corliss?" She kicked me out of the house, saying that I was in the way. "So where are you taking me to lunch?" She had her hair pulled back into a ponytail and was wearing khaki shorts and one of the tops Claude had bought for her. On her feet were the usual slippers, which were now dangling on one foot when she reached out for a kiss. Wow," Taff said. "Just, wow. Really wow. Tough. Richards, this is my girlfriend, Su Lin Benning. Su Lin, this is Taff Richards." "He's the CEO of the company," Claude introduced them. "What about lunch? We have a dining room here. Charles and I eat there." "Oh, okay." Su Lin was delighted. "Hello, Mr. Tuff. Nice to meet you." "Wow," Taff repeated and left. "Hello, Su Lin," Charles joyfully greeted the young woman. Su Lin smiled as Charles showed her what he was working on. She smiled when he introduced her to his teachers at the factory kindergarten. "So, what would you like to take?" Su Lin asked in the dining room, holding Charles's hand. On Wednesday, Inga found an excuse not to see Charles. Claude was fine with this. He and Su Lin had already made plans to take Charles to the University Planetarium for a unique evening performance. He was just dialing Inga's number to ask her to pick up Charles later on Friday. Therefore, Inga Ivernek found out that a woman was spending the night in her husband's house only on Friday. It was only on Friday that Inga found out about Su Lin, her father's girlfriend. Inga smiled and feigned interest in Charles's new friend, Dad's new friend. And then, as soon as Charles fell asleep, Inga angrily pressed the number 7 on her phone. "Yes?" Claude asked. Su Lin took advantage of this distraction to steal one of his scampi shrimp. Looking at Su Lin's triumphant smile, Claude grinned. Yes, Inga. What's the matter? Claude asked. He frowned and raised his hand to stop Su Lin's almost imperceptible movement towards the other shrimp. She pouted but stopped her attack. Okay, are we done? We need to go to Stepping Stone, Claude grumbled, disconnecting the call. What? Why? Su Lin asked worriedly. Take your birth certificate, Claude snapped. I can't believe she's saying she's going to sue me for custody. Why is she suing you? Su Lin asked, rummaging through her small purse. Because my mistress lives with me, my girlfriend. He says it's bad for our son, Claude said, and scooped up more of his food with his fork. Here. When I realized I was moving to Oak Ridge, I grabbed it, Su Lin said, pulling out her birth certificate. Oakleaf, but this is wonderful, Claude said, looking at Su Lin's birth certificate. And you can't say that her boyfriend never stays over at her place, can you? Su Lin said as she finished her pasta. Leave my food alone, you little naughty girl, Claude demanded as she reached for a piece of his garlic bread. What? She laughed loudly. What did you call me? Claude motioned to the waiter, apologized, but asked for the bill. Sorry, but we're in a hurry, he said. Oh, of course, said the waiter. Why are we in a hurry? Su Lin asked, taking a bite of garlic bread. And where did you get this? Claude asked, looking at her bread. They gave me theirs, Su Lin lied, pointing to another table. Su Lin! That's not true, Claude laughed. Su Lin skipped along to keep up with Claude's rush and was glad when they got to his car and she was able to stop and buckle up. They pulled up to David's jewelry on Highway 19. Su Lin watched him as he hurried out the door. The door dinged and Claude opened it for Su Lin. Baby, what? What are we doing here? Su Lin asked, looking around the jewelry counters. We need an engagement ring, Claude announced to David, the store owner. What do we need? Su Lin gasped. Come on, let's go. We have a flight to Las Vegas at 11:30, Claude said, unlocking the window. What do we have? Su Lin gasped again. My second wedding was in Las Vegas, David suggested. Claude, baby, are you serious? Su Lin asked, feeling a little dizzy. Very seriously, Claude said. White gold? Yes, I think white gold would be best. Take this, a beautiful sapphire solitaire, David suggested. Try it on, Claude demanded from Su Lin. It's a little big, said Su Lin. Let's see, David mused, checking the size of the ring. So you're probably a size 5, right? Probably, agreed Su Lin. But baby, are you serious about this? I've never taken anything so seriously in my life, Claude said, nodding approvingly when David found another ring. Oh, wonderful, Su Lin approved, trying on a ring with a diamond and ruby. So, we found a suitable ring for her, and what size is yours, Kalancha? Said David. Kalanka, Su Lin giggled, examining the ring in the light of the store. 12, sometimes 12.5, Claude smiled, looking at the giggling Su Lin. I'm going crazy. I'm completely crazy, Claude thought, driving his powerful sports car towards the small Lafayette Airport. Las Vegas is the wedding capital of the world. Within an hour of landing, Claude was able to find a videographer, a photographer, a priest, and a chapel. He also found a beautiful dress for his bride and a nice tuxedo for himself. You won't regret it. I promise you, baby, I will be the best wife in the world, Su Lin promised with tears in her eyes, holding the bouquet tightly. I believe, Claude smiled, and I will be a good husband to you. Can I throw away my birth control pills? Su Lin asked, just as the priest called them forward. I'm out of my mind. Claude smiled as the photographer took a series of photographs. My dears, we have gathered here today, said the priest, dancing slightly in front of the video camera. The casino rented them a nice room for $340. A woman in a wedding dress and a man in a tuxedo without luggage is not such a rare sight in Las Vegas. The receptionist smiled a knowing smile and wished them good night. In a luxurious room, Su Lin climbed onto the bed and showed her husband that she was wearing white tights. She dropped the bouquet to the floor as he flopped onto the bed, his face between her spread legs. "Come on, Kalancha," Su Lin giggled as he began to caress her. She shuddered in ecstasy. He hurried after her. Then she pulled him to her and kissed him. After a short respite, he heard, "Come on, Kalancha, take me," Su Lin ordered. "We need to bring our marriage to an end." "We've brought it to the end many times already," Claude chuckled. "As soon as I do, I'll throw away my pills," Su Lin whispered. The thought of a petite woman walking around with a swollen belly containing his child made Claude's nerves go off again. She smiled triumphantly. "Oh, God," Claude said. "Let's go take a shower together, okay?" "Oh, my God!" Su Lin giggled and quickly got out of her dress. "I think I'll enjoy being out of my mind." Claude smiled as Su Lin ran to the bathroom. Under the stream of water, Su Lin hugged him tightly, placing her small head on his chest. He hugged her in response and kissed her wet crown. "Oh, what time do we leave?" asked Su Lin. "Flight at 12:19, Claude answered. The wedding dress came with a vinyl bag, which was their only luggage for the return flight, and Su Lin put the dress in the bag along with album photographs and 3 copies of wedding CDs as hand luggage. The flight attendant didn't ask Su Lin for ID, but poured each of them a plastic glass of champagne to toast their marriage. "Thank you." Su Lin smiled at the older woman. "You're welcome, honey, and congratulations." The woman smiled. And at 6:30 on Sunday evening, when Claude drove up in his 1964 Corvette, Inga smiled sarcastically. Claude smiled a beatific smile and asked if Charles was ready. "I told you in the evening that I would not allow you to expose Charles' sinful behavior," Inga grumbled. "Sinful? What sin?" Claude asked innocently. "You live with a woman, having sex with her, in a house with my son," Inga said, smiling. "Oh yeah, I have a lot of sex with Su Lin," Claude readily agreed and extended his left hand forward. Inga's triumphant smile began to fade. "But after all, we are married," Claude said. "It's 6:30 now. Is my son ready?" You're not married," Inga snorted, her face distorted in a mask of hatred. "No, I won't let you. I have a ring, I have photographs, I have a video, I even have a license. Yes, I would say that I am married," Claude grinned. "Once again, Inga, is my son ready?" "I don't believe you!" Inga screamed shrilly. "And I won't let you take Charles away." Inga has already informed Babbage's department store that she will not agree to this job. Already told Tanisha Brown-Jones, Jerome's cousin, to file for a large amount of child support. Her condominium bills and membership dues were past due. Tanisha planned to file for emergency child support. And, according to Tanisha, if Inga receives alimony for the maintenance of Charles, she should be able to demand alimony for herself. "Damn, I don't know why that damn girl, Nicole Banks, didn't ask for something like that, you know what I'm saying?" The new lawyer cackled. Now Inga saw that her plans were evaporating. If Claude's allegations are true, then she has no hope of obtaining full custody of the child, nor does she have any hope of receiving child support. "You will allow me to take our son. I am the guardian," Claude said, no longer smiling. "And if not, I'll call the police and show them the papers from the court." Realizing that she had lost, Inga bitterly slammed the door in Claude's face. She then brought Charles to tears by roughly yanking the 4-year-old by the arm towards the front door. At home, Su Lin comforted the crying boy. Then he and Charles played with his Hot Wheels racetrack while Claude prepared dinner. After dinner, Su Lin gave the baby a bath and then dressed her in pajamas. Both Su Lin and Charles called for Dad, shouting that it was time for a bedtime story. Then, before Claude could run down the hallway to his home office, Su Lin pulled him into the bedroom. She closed the door softly. "Is that the only reason we got married?" Su Lin asked quietly. Claude was about to answer in the affirmative. But then I saw tears slowly flowing from Su Lin's eyes. He pulled the girl towards him and kissed the top of her head. "Su Lin, I won't lie to you. A good husband does not lie to his wife," said Claude. He kissed the top of her head again. Then he lied anyway. "Su Lin, my wife Inga, Inga's ex-wife, is threatening to take Charles away from me, from us, Claude said. But in fact, that's what Inga did. She made me, damn it, come to the only correct decision. He lifted her tear-stained face, so she looked at him. Inga says that she will take Charles because we live in sin, said Claude. And I answered, how can that be sinful? She loves me, and I love her. It's not a sin. What if we get married? Then it's not really a sin. This is right and good. But the only reason, said Su Lin, the main reason, not the only reason, but the main reason, is that I'm crazy about you, Claude insisted. The main reason is that I'm in love with a crazy girl from Stepping Stone. And Inga? Maybe she made us go a little faster. But no, Su Lin. Inga is not the only reason I'm asking you, begging you, to marry me. Ah! Su Lin suddenly exclaimed. Stepping? My mother! I didn't even tell my mom. Claude smiled as he watched his wife run to the phone. She grabbed the phone and quickly dialed a few numbers. Mother? Hi, it's me, Su Lin said after a long dialing session. No, Mommy, I'm not calling for money, said Su Lin. No, Mommy, listen. Mom, listen, okay? Su Lin's happy face turned into a mask of anger. Claude couldn't hear the words, but the metallic bark he heard when Su Lin moved the phone slightly away from her ear was all he needed to hear. Mommy, shut up for a minute and I'll tell you why I called, Su Lin snapped. More metallic barking came from the phone. Mom, I'm married. No, I didn't get pregnant, but I'm married, Su Lin snapped. She listened for a few more moments, then simply put the phone back on the cradle. She looked at the telephony receiver for a long time. But don't worry, Mommy, Su Lin said into the silent phone. I love him, and he loves me, and everything will be fine with us. Do you hear? Su Lin turned and looked at Claude. She slowly walked towards him, arms wide open. We'll be fine, right? She asked. Yes, everything will be fine with us, Claude agreed. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.